Hi guys, I am making this video just to make sure that you guys are understanding what the second assignment is about, the one entitled Combined Transformations booklet. In this assignment, it's basically a booklet that you guys have to create. It's worth 100 points, and it is the last grade that I'm going to be including for this cycle for you guys for your math grade, right? So now what you guys are expected to do is that you need to create a cover page, and your cover page will have combined transformations on it, and then it will have your name at the front, right? And the second page, I would like for you guys to have the definition of rotation, reflection, translation. You could use the same definition that I have given you guys in the package. So if you have your packages from since we started reflection last week, we did rotation, and then this week we're doing translation. And then if you're in Google Classroom, you have access to the PowerPoint, and you could just take that and put that in your booklet. And then after that, I would like the 4 graphs that are in the following page, and then the last page in your booklet is going to be transformations in my life. So now I'm gonna be showing you guys how I expect you guys to graph these and what I expect to see when you send me your graphs. So there are 4 of them that I'm gonna be doing here, and then this is the last page that is supposed to be included in your booklet. So if you guys are doing the package, the page is right there, you just have to fill it out. If you guys are doing online, you could just highlight all of this and you could just paste it into whatever you're doing if you're doing it electronically, right? Reflection before and after sin. My life rotates around, my life translates into. I expect to see, and please follow the instructions, 4 words for each section. So I want to see 4 words here, 4 words here, and 4 words here that talk about an answer, like complete this sentence that is here for you. So now what I'm going to be doing now is that I will be showing you guys how I expect you guys to graph them. So if any of you would have any questions after you see this video, then feel free to just message me and ask, okay? Okay guys, so here I have the graph that you guys should have this on your graph paper, right? And we're gonna work with the first question. So if you're looking at the worksheet or you are looking at your package, it says translate the triangle ALT if A is -5, -1, L is -3, -2, T is -3 and 2, and by the rule that we're going to apply, and it gives you the rule there where you are adding 6 to X and you're subtracting 3 from each of the Y's. Then reflect the image over the Y-axis. So now for this one, they give you a blank grid, such as the one that I'm showing here. So now the first thing that we have to do is that we have to create the original image, right? So then that's what I'm going to be doing here. I have this graph, the coordinate plane, and then the first point is point A, and that point A is -5, -1. So I'm going to find that -5, -1, and it's right there. And I'm going to put that point there, if you guys can see the point. L is -3, -2, and then the point goes here. And then you have point T, which is -3, +2. Yeah, and then those are the 3 points, and then I'm just gonna connect them together. Right, and then that should be what you have. And then we can just label them. We can have that point A is -5, -1. Then we can have point L is -3. L is -3 and -2. Just that you guys know what it is that I'm expecting you guys to have. And then we can have point T right here, which is -3, 2. Yeah. So now that's what I'm expecting you guys to have. That is the original image. This is the first thing that you guys should have graphed, right? So now the next thing that they're telling you is that you need to translate it. That means that we're going to slide the image. This is what we were doing this week. And you're going to slide the image by adding 6 to each of the x's. So I'm going to add 6 to -5. I'm going to add 6 to -3. I'm going to add 6 to -3. And then you're going to minus 3 from all of the y's, minus 3 from -1, minus 2, minus 3 from 2, and then minus 3 from -2. So now if I do that to point A, I am going to have that 6, -5 plus 6, that gives me 1. And then -1 minus 3 gives me -4. So my point is going to be 1, -4. Right? And this one is going to be A1. And that is going to be 1, -4. Then I have point L. L is -3, -2. If I add a 6 to -3 and I minus 2 from minus 3 from -2, sorry. -3 plus 6 gives me 3. And -2 minus 3 gives me -5. So my point is going to be 3, -5. Right there. And I can label that point as L1. And that will be 3, -5. And then I do the same thing to point T, where -3 plus 6 gives me 3. And then 2 minus 3 gives me -1. So my point is going to be 3, -1 right there. And I'm just going to write it. That point T1 is going to be 3, -1. And then I'm just going to connect all the dots. Let me use a different color, guys. See if I can use a different color here. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Use the color pink. There, and there. And then I am just going to connect them. And there you go. That is the slide. So now this is the original. This is A1, L1, T1. This is after we have done the translation, but then it's not finished yet. So now what we need to do is that we have to go ahead and reflect it over the y-axis. And the y-axis is this one over here. All right. Now, how do we reflect it? It means that this image is going to flip over to the other side. We just want to flip it basically, right? So let me use another color. Let's use green. And what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to count how many spaces away is this dot T1 away from the y-axis. And then if I count, I have 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be exactly the same amount. 1, 2, 3, and my point is going to go there, right? Because exact same spaces, right? And then when it comes to my point, I am going to label it as T2. And then it's going to be -3. I'm using what the graph gives me, -3, -1, right? From here, if I look at point A now, there's only one space in between point A and the y-axis. So now I am going to do one dot over here, one space away, see exactly the same distance. And then I'm going to write my coordinate right here, where it says that A, and then it has two little lines right there. And my point is going to be -1, -4. I'm using the coordinates of the graph, right? -1, -4. And then now if I look at L, L is 1, 2, 3 spaces away from the y-axis. So I need to count 1, 2, 3 spaces right there. And then this is where I'm going to write L2. L2 is going to be -3 on the y and then -5 on, sorry, -3 on the x and -5 on the y. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect these dots. and then that should be what you guys should have for number one. The original image is the one in black. The one that is translated is the one in pink. And then when it's rotated, reflected over the y-axis, now you get the one in green. So now this is what I want to see for question number one in your graph, right? So let's move on to question number two. Okay, guys, so this is the following question number two, working with question number two. And then if you're looking at your question, it says reflect triangle TAB if T is 2, 3, A is 1, 1, and B is 4, 3 over the x-axis, then reflect the image over the y-axis. So this is a double reflection that is happening in this question. So now let's begin. We are going to start off by plotting the points. So we're going to start with the point T, and point T is 2 on the x and 3 on the y. So point T goes there. It's T, and it's 2, 3, right? So then that is T. Let's put it there. You have point A, which is 1, 1, 1 on the x and 1 on the y. So let's label that one. And you have A, 1, 1. And then you have B, which is 4, 3. 4 on the, 4, negative 3, 4 on the x, and then negative 3 on the y. And then this one would be B, for negative 3. And what we want to do now is just connect the dots. You guys will be doing this using your paper, right? Your graph sheet, just connecting the dots, and then that should be your triangle that you have there. All right, so now once we have the original image, the first thing that it tells you is to reflect over the x-axis, and our x-axis is this line over here, right? So let me just choose a color over here that I want to so now what we want to do is we want to reflect it over this blue line, right? Reflect it over that. And then what is going to happen is that whatever is at the top of this line will now end up at the bottom, and whatever is at the bottom of this line will now end up at the top. All right? So now we're going to go ahead and do that. So I am going to reflect point T first. So T is 2, negative 3, and we take a look at how many spaces is this point away from this blue line. And I can count 1, 2, 3 spaces. So I'm going to count the same amount at the bottom. 1, 2, 3 spaces, and T is going to be there. T1, sorry. So I'm just going to label it as T1 is the point. And looking at where it is, it's 2, negative 3. Right, so then that is the point, 2, negative 3. Okay, now what we want to do now is do the same thing with point A. So point A is just one space away from this line, so then we're going to do the same thing, just one space away. And I am going to write the point here, and this is going to be A1, and it's going to be 1 on the x, and then negative 1 on the y, because that is where it's reflected now, right? And then now thinking about point B, the spaces from this blue line, from the blue line to this point B is 1, 2, 3 spaces. And because this one is at the bottom of the line, now I'm going to count at the top, right? So 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, and my point is going to be there. And I'm going to label this as B1. And looking at where it is 4 on the X and 3 on the Y. Right, so then that is what is happening in this one. Now I can go ahead and connect all of the dots, and as you guys can see, a perfect reflection, right? So what was at the top in black is now at the bottom in pink, and what is at the bottom in black is now at the top in pink. So that was the first thing that they asked you to do. Reflect over the x-axis. Then reflect the image over the y-axis. So now thinking about the y-axis is this one that I'm going to mark in yellow. Look at that yellow line. Now we want this pink image to end up on the other side of this yellow line, right? So then now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am going to do the same thing. How many spaces away from the yellow line is B? So counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to count the same amount on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it ends up there, right? Just double check that you're counting the correct amount. And then now I'm going to label this as B2. And my point now is going to be -4 on the Y and 4 on, sorry, 3, -4 on the X, sorry, and 3 on the Y. That is what this point is going to be now. And then I'm going to do the same thing with A1. It is only one space away. So I'm going to do the same thing, mark one space. And I can go ahead and label this one. And it's going to be A2. And my point is going to be -1 on the X and -1 on the Y. And that is my point right here. I think that I can leave it here. Don't think it will affect, but that will be my point. And I do the same thing with T. How many spaces is this point over here from this yellow line? And I can see that it's 1, 2 spaces. So I'm going to do the same thing exactly where it is, exact same line, and just count 2 spaces, and it's right there. And I'm going to label this new point as T2. And the point is -2 on the X and -3 on the Y. And then this would be my point right here. And I can go ahead and just connect all the dots. And there you go. So if you have this one now, let me see. I can zoom it up a bit. There you go. That is what you should have for question number 2. The original image is the one in black. The first reflection is the one in pink. And then the second reflection is the one in green. And if you guys are not writing the points on this side, because I know that the worksheet has the spaces over on the side for you to write it, at least try your best and mark it right on the diagram, right on the graph. Mark your points so that it's easier for you to see where the points are and if your points are labeled correctly, right? So now this would be for number 2. Let's work with question number 3, okay? Okay, guys, so this is question number 3. And question number 3 states, so you can follow on your paper or your screen. It says rotate triangle ALT if A is -5, -1, L is -3, -2, and T is -3, 2. 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. Then reflect the image over the y equals x line. So now what we want to do here is first of all, we want to remember the keyword here is rotating 90 degrees clockwise, right? So then 90 degrees clockwise is you moving in this direction, moving in that direction. But if you are looking at the documents that were given to you guys and the information that is given to you, everything is the opposite, clockwise. So I need to use my head a little here. And if the question asks me for a rotating 90 degrees clockwise, that is one jump in this direction. But if I want to work clockwise, because that is what I know how to do, I am going to be jumping 3 times to get in the same position. So for this question, I'm going to be using the information that is for a 270 degree rotation. And then that rotation states that when you have your points x, y, then that then becomes y and then negative x. So now that is what I have to do with my not sure if I can make this bigger. Yeah, so now this is what I have to do, right? This is the rotation that is going to happen. But before I even go ahead and think about that rotation, let's plot the original image, right? The original image states that it is ALT. So let's look at point A, and point A is -5. Let me see if I can zoom this a little bit. Okay. So now it says that it is 5, -1. So let's take a look at that point first. Let's plot 5, -1 right there. And this will be A. So A is -5, -1. You have point B. I'm sorry, point L. Point L is -3, -2. And I'm going to call this point L. -3, -2. And then the last point is point T, and T is -3, 2. And this one is gonna be point T, -3, 2. Right. So now I have plotted the 3 points, and I want to go ahead and connect them. And there you go. Okay, so having that in mind now, the 270 degrees, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the points here. So let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. And I'm just gonna put the first point, which is T, and it's gonna be -3, 2. And I want to change that so that I can get T1. Right, so now if I'm using the rule that is given to me here at the top, the y is gonna go first. So I'm gonna have 2. And then I'm gonna have -x, and because x in this case is -3, I'm gonna have negative x, and that is gonna be turned into a +3. I'm gonna do the same thing with a. A is -5, -1, and I want to change that to a1. Applying the rule at the top, the y is gonna go first, so -1 goes first, and then -5, so I get a +5 for that one. And then I have point L, and I'm gonna be doing the same thing. Point L is -3, -2, and I'm gonna change that to L1. So now the y is gonna go first, -2 goes first, and then I have -3, and that gives me a +3. So now what I have here now, these points are the ones that I'm going to be plotting for my new image. So I'm going to go ahead and just find those points. T1 is 2, 3, 2, 3 over here. And I'm going to label this as T1. So T1 is equal to 2, 3. I'm going to have point A1, which is -1, 5 over here. And I'm going to label this one as A1, -1, 5. And then I'm going to have the last point L1, which is -2, and then 3 over here. This one is going to be L1. L1, -2, 3. And then now I can go ahead and just connect my dots so that I can see what the triangle looks like. And there you go. That is the rotation that is happening in this shape. Okay, guys, so now what we want to do is the second part of this one, which is reflect the image over the line y equals to x. But we have to identify what this line is going to be. So let me quickly do that for you guys. If you remember what we did in the last 2 weeks when we talked about reflection and we talked about this line y is equal to 2, it is the line that passes directly over there you go, right through the origin, right, this line right here. And if we want to actually reflect this pink image over on the other side, then we can always go back to Google Classroom where I have the PowerPoint and I have it set out there. What happens when we have a reflection over y is equal to x, right? And well, what basically happens is that if you have your points x and y, basically what happens to it is that now they switch places and you have yx, right? So now that is what we want to do for each one of our points here. So I'm going to start with a1, and a1, as you can see, is 1 5. So now a2 is just going to be 5 1 because they're switching places. I'm going to do the same thing with t1, and t1 is 2 3. So now if they switch places, T2 is going to be 3 2. And then I have L1, and L1 is negative 2 3. And when they switch places for L2, I am now going to have 3 negative 2. And then these now are going to be the points that I'm going to be plotting for this question. All right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's plot these points. So now A2 is going to be 5 1. So I'm going to 5 1 right here. And I'm going to label this as A2. And this is going to be 5 1. Right? Here you go. Then I'm going to have T2, which is 3 2 right here. And I'm going to label this as T2. And it's going to be 3 2. And then I'm going to have L2 being 3 negative 2 right there. And this is going to be L2, L2, and 3 negative 2. And there you go. And now I'm going to connect the dots. And there you go. This is the final image for this question. Let me zoom in a little bit. There you go. When it comes to this question, the black one is the original image, the pink one is the rotated image, and the green one is the reflected image. So now this is what I should be seeing in your graphs, right? So let's move on to the last question, guys. Okay, guys, and then number 4, this is the last question. Finally, I know what you guys are thinking. You must be tired right now. But question number 4 says reflect triangle TAB. If T is 2 3, A is 1 1, and B is 4 negative 3 over the y-axis, then translate the image by the rule xy, where x you add 2 and y you subtract 1. So this one pretty straightforward, right? So let's see. The first thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and plot my original image. So TAB. T is going to be 2 3 right here. A is going to be 1 1. And B is going to be 4 negative 3 right there. And I am just going to write the points. This one is T. T and T is 2 3. A is there. A is 1 1, and then the last one is B, which is 4 -3. And I am going to connect the dots. And there you go. You have the original image. Now, after the original image, what you guys are going to be doing is the reflection over the y-axis. So let me go ahead and highlight where that is going to be. The y-axis is right here. This yellow line, if you guys can see the yellow line, then we want this image to end up on the other side, basically, right? So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. We are going to just count the spaces from each point from this reflective line. So T is 2 spaces away. I'm going to count 2 spaces. A is 1 space away, so I'm going to count 1 space. And then B is 4 spaces away, so I want to go ahead and count 4 spaces away as well. And I am just gonna go ahead and write the new points for this question, where T1 now is the point -2, 3. You have A1 now, A1, which is -1, 1. And then now you will have B, and B1 is -4, -3. And I will go ahead and connect dots. All right, there you go. We have connected the dots, and then that is the reflection, right? And then the last part says translate the image by adding 2 to the x's and subtracting 1 from the y. So let me change my color. If I do 2 -2 plus 2, I get 0, and 3 minus 1 gives me 2. So my point is going to be 0, 0, 2. And that is going to be T2. So let me find 0 on the X and 2 on the Y right here. And this one is going to be my T2. T2 is 0, 0, 2. Then I do the same thing to A. I'm gonna do -1 plus 2, that gives me 1, and 1 minus 1 gives me 0, so my point is gonna be 1, 0, 1 on the X and 0 on the Y, and then I'm gonna write it right here. I'm gonna have A2, and my point is gonna be 1, 0, right? There you go. And then I'm gonna do that to B as well. -4 plus 2 gives me -2, and then -3 minus 1 gives me -4. So this point is gonna be -2, -4, right there. And I'm just gonna write it. This is gonna be B2, and this point is -2, -4. And we go ahead and we connect dots. And there you go, guys. We finished with question number 4. The black image is the original, the pink image is the reflected, and the green image is the translated one. And this is the last one for this worksheet. So now these are the 4 graphs I expect to see in your booklet, right? If anybody has any questions, feel free to message me, guys. I will be available to answer your questions, right?